There are a few pleasures in life more satisfying than woodworking, but something that makes you hate woodworking: dust. When you live in a tiny apartment with a family that has severe allergies, you will learn to improvise. And that's what I did. Food Travel and DIY takes you through the build of a Cyclone dust collector with trash bag takeout. I went to my local carpenter and asked him nicely, with a very big smile, if he had any airtight drums. Usually, these kinds of drums are used to store adhesives and they are air and watertight. I got this drum for free. It has a lid, rubber seal, and also a clamp to lock the lid in place. Some water, dish soap, a metal scrubber, and a good amount of elbow grease later, the drum was clean and almost as good as new. I have a 1-inch CPVC fitting used in water tanks. I mark a hole in the center of the lid and drill holes to make an opening. I then use my blade to make a proper hole around the lid. The fitting can be screwed onto the lid, and this is what I need. This is my output from the drum into my vacuum cleaner. I make another hole on the side of the lid. This would be my input to the drum. I make sure that I wash the fittings well with dish soap to clear out any dust and debris. I want a tight seal, so I keep the fittings clean. I wash the fittings using a green scrubber which is non-scratching. We do not want to scratch the rubber washers or the thread of the fitting. I add a generous bead of general purpose silicone to my fitting and then place the washer over it. Then I add another bead on top of the washer. I do the same thing with the other fitting. Then I put both the fittings through the lid. On the opposite side, I again add a generous bead of silicone and then add the other washer on top. Finally, I add the final bead of silicone on top of the washer. I add my screw to the fitting and I screw it in place. I use an adjustable wrench here to make sure that the fitting is nice and tight. After this, I use a finger to make sure that the silicone is smoothened out. Now, any gaps in the joint will surely be filled by the silicone. I leave this to rest for 48 hours so that the silicone is fully dry. Hit the subscribe button if you like the content so far, and let's continue. Next, I use Teflon tape to seal the thread. I give it a good 3 to 4 wraps of tape. Now I have a threaded fitting of normal PVC. I attach this to the fitting. I cut some PVC pipes and join them using PVC cement and then add an elbow in there as well. My PVC connections are now complete. Since the water tank fitting is made for CPVC, we need to have CPVC fittings on the other side of the lid. I use CPVC cement and glued this in place. The intake to the drum will have an elbow attached so that the intake comes into the drum and spins along the edge of the drum. Like a cyclone, the dust settles below and then the output from the drum gets more or less cleaner air from the center. We have some flexible tubing. This is the kind of tubing used for electrical connections, and I attach it to my PVC pipe using hot glue. Now I need to add reinforcement to my bucket to prevent that my bucket collapses, and also I need something to keep my trash bag in place to the dust collector drum so that the trash bag doesn't get sucked into my vacuum. I use PVC for this. I have PVC pipes that are all cut to the same length, some PVC T-fittings, and I use heat to bend the PVC pipes. There are some kinks in the pipes, but I guess they are okay since they won't be used for water piping and we can have some bends in the pipes. I try to avoid kinks by filling it with sand and heating up the sand, and trust me, it's not going to work. You absolutely do not want to go there. I add PVC cement to some of the fittings to keep them sturdy, but also take care to make sure that I can dismantle the cylinder so that I can take it out from the drum if required. This is what my cylinder looks like, and this is what it looks like when reassembled outside the drum. Now I place a large garbage bag in the drum and add my reinforcement cylinder to the drum. I keep the bag over the edge of the drum, and this is what my dust collector looks like. The dust collector is sealed and ready to use now. Let's crank this bad boy up. Sand gets picked up effortlessly, and we have the dirt in the bag ready to dispose. If you like the video, please consider to like, share and subscribe, and have a fantastic day ahead.